Welcome to It Takes Two. I'm Blair.
I'm Chris.
And today we're taking a deeper dive into our thoughts about Brittany and Devin and that conversation about the sexuality.
Yes, this was a very interesting conversation, and I wanted to do a deep dive on this because I still would have been talking from yesterday.
All right.
I need y'all to subscribe, like, share, comment, all the above. She did an interview on
Entertainment Weekly.
On Entertainment Weekly, and we're going to do something called reading. But first, let me build the scene. Mm-hmm. For anybody who did not see this episode, I think this is episode 4. Mm-hmm. Go back and watch episode 4 on Netflix and watch our review so you can have some type of, context of what's going on, right?
Yeah.
But basically, what happened in that episode was that they was having a heart-to-heart moment. Devin was starting off the heart-to-heart moment talking about his struggle when he injured himself playing basketball. His injury caused him to not play basketball, and during that time, he was taking
ibuprofen.
Say it again.
Ibuprofen.
Mm-hmm. He started off with taking 2 a day to 10. He got as high as taking 20 because the pain was so bad. And he kind of lost his zeal for life because he's like, I love basketball so much. Mm-hmm. He said during this time he got closer to God. God told him to go back and talk to the doctors again. The doctors was able to do surgery on both his hips, able to relieve the pain that came from his previous injury. So he is very grateful to have basketball back in his life. And during this heart-to-heart moment, Brittany is crying with him. He is crying as well. Now she's like, you know what? I want to have a heart-to-heart moment too. Mm-hmm. During her heart-to-heart moment, she let us know that she has some experiences with women. Mm-hmm. Now, just to give a little backstory, she was talking about her love of basketball when they first came into the pods and about how her mother was scared and didn't want her to play basketball because she said them basketball shorts gonna make you gay. Mm-hmm.
Along those lines.
Yeah. I never heard basketball shorts making anybody gay. Right. But she said on basketball shorts gonna make you gay, right? Mm. So during this time, he stopped crying. He kind of like, what do you mean? You had some experience with women. And that's when she was like, yeah, I had some experience with women, but I just knew that I could not see myself marrying a woman. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's when he was like, that's kind of okay. Like, what do that mean, though? And she was like, don't worry about it, basically, because whoever I'm with, I am monogamous. So that's leaving him with more questions, like, okay. And in the moment, I will say he was not as accepting as Brittany was to his story and things like that. And then, eventually he ended up choosing the other girl because of basically she came in the next day saying, you know what? I really didn't like how I felt yesterday about how you accepted or didn't accept my story, so I'm just going to bow out. And now I want to have a deep dive because she did an interview with Entertainment Weekly, mm-hmm. and we got to talk about this, guys. We have to talk. Did I build it up pretty good?
Yeah, very good.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Now let's do something called reading. You ready, Blair?
I'm ready.
Read for us, please.
Okay, so the article, the title is Love is Blind's Brittany blasts Devin for immature reaction to her sexuality. I don't want this. Written by Sydney Bucksbaum.
Okay.
All right. So, Love is Blind season 8 cast member Brittany Dodson has no regrets over ending things with her pod boyfriend Devin Buckley after his immature reaction to her sexuality. Mm-hmm. While the two Minnesotan singles hit it off right away in the pods, Brittany's vulnerable confession about how she's had relationships with women in the past sent Devin spiraling. Although Brittany explained that she always saw herself marrying a man and has always been monogamous, Devin struggled to understand and told her he needed time to think about it.
Yeah.
Brittany tells Entertainment Weekly that Devin's response made her realize that he wasn't the person she wanted to marry, so she ended things on their next date. Quote from Brittany, I've had an ex that told me later on, even though I broke up with him, that was a big thing that was in the back of his mind, and it's just immature. It's not like every woman that's walking past me I'm looking at, or guy for that matter. That's a part of life, exploring your sexuality, exploring who you are, and I just felt like it was just a very closed-minded view. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just about her own sexuality. Brittany worried about how Devin would feel about her friends and family who are also LGBTQIA+, mm-hmm. for him to not be open about it. She says, if we have children, all these things were running through my mind, like, could you not accept our child if our child came to you and said this? She laughed before adding, I'm not telling you I want to go date women while we're getting married. Devin's very narrow-minded view was the deal breaker for Brittany. I could read between the lines for him not to even say anything. I just need to think about it. And even when I came back, there was no words that he really could say, she says. In that moment, you have the opportunity to be more supportive and comforting, and silence really does speak volumes sometimes. Brittany was also just disappointed with how he handled an extremely vulnerable and sensitive moment for her. That's not necessarily easy for me to say. Everybody doesn't know about my sexuality, and it may not be for everybody to know, she says.
Okay.
But I felt like that was a moment where if we're going to take the next step in our relationship, it was something that I wanted to share with him. I really wish that he could have just been a little more supportive in that. I kind of picked up that he wasn't going to be that, so I was like, all right, yeah, let's exit stage left. She laughs at how Devin immediately agreed with her about how they're not each other's person. But if she hadn't broken up with him, I don't necessarily know if he would have ended things, she says. I think the male ego is something that is a whole other story.
Okay.
The 35-year-old partnership executive admits she's a little nervous to have such a personal piece of her identity air in an episode of Love is Blind. It's something that I don't necessarily blurt out loud, she says. Everybody doesn't say I'm straight, I'm gay, I'm bisexual, I'm anything else. So I never felt the need to overshare with anybody. I wanted to share in that moment with him, and we just so happened to be on TV. So now everybody will know. I just have to take it in stride, and those that don't want to support me, that's their business, and they don't have to be in my life.
Okay.
She adds that this is new territory for her family, but she also doesn't regret talking about her sexuality during their pod date. I have never thought of it as this huge thing because it's always been a part of me, she says. My thoughts, my feelings, everybody wants to put it in a category, and I haven't in the past. I really don't care. At this point, it is what it is. Brittany doesn't feel strongly about needing to label sexuality, but says that it's something she's thought about more since filming the show, especially in regards to, can I see myself marrying a woman, she says. I kind of love being in this really feminine energy, but I also love all sexes. I love everyone. That's a hard question to answer, really. I guess I'm still a work in progress, to say the least.
You think?
As for her relationship with 29-year-old youth director Coach Devin, Brittany reveals that it wasn't just his reaction to her sexuality that had her questioning whether she wanted to marry him. I could feel that I was almost being a little over supportive of him and everything that he had going on in his life, even for things that I thought were very minute, like the ibuprofen.
Wait a minute.
She says, referring to Devin's admission that he abused the pain relief medicine after a basketball injury. Obviously, I wanted to be considerate, but in my mind, I'm like, I've never heard of that, but maybe I just could be ignorant to the fact that this is a real addiction. But when I got out, I'm like, that's not it. Realizing that she was bending over backwards to support him, only for him to fail to do the same for her, was a major red flag. When I shared really personal things about myself, he very much so made it about him, saying, I need to take time to figure this out. Brittany says, this egocentric attitude, I could sense a little immaturity there, and I could also sense, kind of reading between the lines, that he was a little mama's boy. And I'm like, I don't want this. I don't want to carry a relationship.
My mama?
Leaving Love is Blind single was a real win for Brittany. I learned a ton about myself, she says. Just about repetitive things that I have done and seen in men and just continue to do, and really honing in on what I want for myself, which is not Devin.
Well, let's start right there.
Okay.
Because that's basically it. Oh my
That
goodness. That took a turn at the end.
Yeah.
One thing I want to say is that she said in this article was that she had a previous relationship where the ex basically had the same question that Devin had, right?
Yes.
The only thing about it is, hey, at least you got to see the ex, pick the ex. Y'all had some type of foundation to build on. Now, compared to Devin, y'all are behind a wall, right? And you're choosing to share this very, very personal information to a stranger on, like, across the world. Do you get what I'm saying? Sharing information with me that everyone in your family do not know. Right. So based off the information that you have, Blair, in the sense of what you read, what is your personal feelings about what you read and basically what we seen on the episode? Okay. So I'm hearing Brittany. Yeah. And I'm listening, and I think I'm understanding where she's at. Where is she? Or maybe not. Maybe not completely. Because I don't know where she's at. But from what she's saying is that she doesn't want to label her sexuality. Okay. And it seems like she's also in a space of trying to figure out, could she see herself marrying a woman? She definitely knows that
before, this experience, she only saw herself marrying a man. So I think that there is still some exploration that she's doing when it comes to marriage and the sex of the person that she would want to marry.
Yeah.
With her sexuality, it seems like she's very fluid in her sexuality.
Okay.
And it makes me think that when you're coming onto a show such as Love is Blind, and it's pretty much like a heteronormative experience.
She knew that, though.
Yeah, to where the people coming on, they could have different sexual proclivities, but the way the show is set up is that a man is marrying a woman to be in a marriage.
Yes.
So her coming into the show being a little bit more fluid, I don't know if she would be welcomed in with her fluidity. I think that she probably would have needed somebody to maybe know her, who she was as a person, and be comfortable with that piece of her, or someone who was fluid themselves. And this structure, I don't think was really the best avenue for her, being that she's fluid in the way that she is.
Can I respond to what you just said?
Sure.
But I'm not gonna give her no bail to get out of jail for that, though.
Okay.
I can empathize in the sense of you don't want to put a label on it, but then I asked the question, you don't want to put a label on your sexuality, but you definitely put a label on I don't want to marry a woman, or I never see myself marrying a woman. You were so sure about that, though.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So you was definitely you was comfortable with being labeled as a heterosexual wife. You get what I'm saying? So it's like I'm not, the thing that it came off to me as if when you said that, well, not you, when Brittany said that you read that she said, I can never see myself marrying a woman. I do not see myself marrying a woman. That does not answer the question of, are you into women? Who was your last relationship? Who are you mostly in relationships with, men or women? Who do you really like?
Yeah.
It came off to me as if, I don't want to use the statement of not living your truth, but I feel like with something that impactful, and something that important, that sharing that with a stranger and expecting him who wants to marry you, right? For him to have questions and for him to have some type of pause, I don't think that's so mean, to be honest. I think he handled it, for him to be as blindsided as he was, as polite as he could.
Agreed.
You get what I'm saying?
Agreed.
Even though I do feel like I can like nitpick and say, hey, kind of like deal with your emotions privately. Like, I could nitpick at his response, but overall, I don't think he was disrespectful to her sexuality. I don't think he was disrespectful to her personally. But she came off on what she said, and as like, I have more questions. And it's kind of hard for me to empathize. In order for me to empathize, I have to understand.
Yeah.
And I'm right now, I think it would have been more direct if he would have said, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, you don't see yourself as you don't see yourself married a woman. You don't care about labels when it comes to your sexuality, but you care about the label of wife when it comes to I'm with a man. But that doesn't tell me, based on what you just told me, Brittany, what team you on. Like basically, who do you like? Like, what's your interest? You get what I'm saying? But go ahead, continue.
Yeah, and she did make a comment that she loves everyone.
Okay.
But she also, in the converse or in the article, was saying that she's reconsidering some things about whether or not she could be married to a woman. So it sounds like Brittany may not have had the opportunity to explore these relationships or her sexuality in the fullness that maybe she wanted to, based off of what we learned about like her mom kind of not wanting her to play basketball because of the basketball shorts, the type of music they were able to listen to growing up. So maybe there were some things in her life that made it so mentally she couldn't picture herself marrying a man because those aren't the values that were instilled in her. I did want to shout out one of our commenters, swoop_88, who said that we should look up compulsory heterosexuality. And I did look it up, and I just wanted to read what it is really quickly.
Help me.
So I guess nickname for it is like comp het, is a term that was popularized in 1980 by Adrienne Rich, a feminist poet. Comp het originated as the concept that people feel obligated to live as a heterosexual even if they have a different sexual orientation. It may restrict some people from exploring their sexuality, while others may suppress their confirmed sexual desires to abide by a heterosexual lifestyle. Now, I'm not saying that this is her, but I think that this is something to add to the conversation to say, is that the reason why you only considered yourself marrying a man because
she's
because
suppressing
of the society that you're in, because of the way that you grew up, and now that you are done with the experience, could you see yourself moving beyond those constructs and giving yourself more space to live how you really want to? So I think that with her coming in, not being able to be clear about her sexuality for somebody who is straight, that's hard for somebody to gather that information, move forward in a marriage where they really don't know if they will be able to satisfy you fully. Yeah. And for her to kind of go on and kind of make these little jabs at him about being a mama's boy and all that type of stuff, it kind of just sounds like she was hurt. You know, it sounds like she wanted him, like she said, to be more supportive and sensitive to her needs as she was crying for him. She really was crying for him. And then she kind of tries to downplay his ibuprofen issue when he clearly, I think the man went through a lot through, you know, the issues that he had. But you are not supposed to take those many Tylenols or like whatever. No, you get what I'm saying? Even if it's not like a
painkiller or something.
No, even though it's not like addiction to where it's like oxycodone or something like that, it doesn't mean that it's good for your body.
Yeah, it's not.
So I think that Brittany, I guess my overall statement when it comes to that is I think she's hurt and she's kind of lashing out at him and also reading in between the lines when I don't think there was so much to read in between the lines. I think that he was genuinely a little bit confused, kind of weren't very clear. And I will have to say, I think labels help people understand things better. Yeah. And I can't fault him for kind of wanting more clarity and a solidified answer for him to be able to make his decision. And I think she's kind of like, I don't know if she's not realizing that, but I don't think she wants to take ownership of that. You know?
It's something she said in this article where she said, now I'm kind of rethinking if I can see myself marrying a woman because I like this feminine energy. And it came off as if she's like role playing, as if she's dressing up as like, feminine energy, as if it's not like really her, but she likes tapping into it and basically being able to take off the fake mustache, put it on. You get what I'm saying? Like basically just role playing. But let me give you my point of view from this perspective, right? Especially when it comes from a black male and things like that, is I have gay friends, right? And the thing about gay friends is whenever a woman say I have gay friends, you can basically suggest that she may have gay male friends or she may have gay woman friends and things like that. Usually when a guy say I have gay friends and things like that, most times he's probably talking about a woman, right? Okay. Usually, like if he do have a gay male friend and things like that, I don't really know a lot of black guys that really have a lot of gay male friends from my personal experience, right?
Especially more than black women.
Yes, more than black women. Yes,
in comparison.
Right? And guess what? Kudos to everybody who respect all kinds of people. You get what I'm saying? But this is my experience, which lets me know that, they are living a different experience than my experience, right? Because at the end of the day, I woke up the way I woke up. I did not have I felt like I didn't have a choice in my sexuality. So if I'm a heterosexual and I did not have a choice in my sexuality, I would have to believe that someone who is not me did not have a choice in theirs either. Right? So we all can agree with that, right? I remember back in high school, right? And it was a new guy, right? He was a white guy. And we was paired up. The teachers paired us up with to do this lesson. It was us two, right? And he was new, so when we sat together and we was about to do this thing, he introduced himself to me and he led with that he's gay. Okay. Right? And me being sarcastic, I said, "Well, I'm straight." Right? And that's when he chuckled and I was like, "But what is your name?" Yeah. Dude, you get like he led with his sexuality before he led with his name. And it was at that moment once I got older and I was like, I actually have the privilege, if you want to call it that, of being Chris. And you can assume that I'm a heterosexual, but you don't never have, I don't lump those two together. You get what I'm saying? To where a lot of people who are gay or bi and things like that that is their identity, right?
Yeah.
And I felt like now that I'm older and I'm looking back, I don't know if he was I don't know if he was kind of disarming me in a way, kind of make me feel comfortable in that way, because it was majority of all black school. But I'm like, oh, so that's why their sexuality is important to them, because they're like, I am gay, like I am this,
and because it also impacts how people view them,
exactly,
how they view the world, and
exactly,
how they're able to interact and move in spaces.
Exactly.
So that's why, like, it is such a big part of identity, because it changes your life.
Yes,
you know, it can,
and especially males.
Yes.
So now that I'm older, I can't say that I thought of it in the moment. I just thought it was weird that he led with that more than he led with his name and who he is as a person.
Right.
But now that I'm older, I can look back and be like, oh, maybe he was really disarming me, making sure that, you know, like I'm not gonna harm him, or that I'm not gonna bully him or something like that. So I can now empathize because I understand.
Yeah.
Right. That, oh, me just being Chris, I can live as Chris and basically be basically normal in the way the world views me, right?
Right.
But going back to your point of why labels are important in certain aspects, I'm not saying every label is important, but it just feels like from Brittany, if I was to guess, that she knows what she is. She just don't want to put a label on it. And I'm like, Brittany, I need to understand what you understand.
Yeah.
Or I need to understand what you already know. And it's coming off as, hey, I had these experiences, but I can never see myself marrying a woman. I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Besides, I had these experiences, and because I had these experiences, I know I don't want women.
Yeah.
You know, I want men's.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So that's why I'm like, I think I don't want to say confused, but I think there is something to she want to fit into the social construct. In this article, she said this is new territory for her family. I'm like, wait a minute, you told me before you told your family?
Yeah.
Now, allegedly, I don't know who this person is in the comments of that episode. This person said, I'm Brittany's cousin, and she ain't gay or bi. Now I'm even more confused. Because
she said her family didn't know, so I don't know, cousin. I don't know if you're in the know or not.
But my whole point is, if it is the cousin,
yeah,
and you're saying that she's not gay or bi, as you're on this heterosexual show, which you know that it is, what are you trying to hide, or what social construct are you trying to fit into so you don't have to address or be open with your family about? I'm sorry that he didn't have the compassion for you that you was looking for. I don't want to say he didn't have compassion for you, but to the level that you expected it, right? Because I would say Devin was polite, but I would challenge Brittany to be like, hey, Brittany, I'm not asking you to put a label on it, because truth be told, you can live your life however you want to live your life, right? But you obviously had no problem accepting label as wife as a label, rather.
To a husband. Yeah. Yeah.
So if we gonna put labels on that, like help me understand so I can empathize with you more than just like leaving it up to the air for me to just be like, well, you know, it's just fluid and things like that. Well, obviously, you know, it's not that fluid because you on this show Love Is Blind, and you know kind of the construct of what was going on here. Yeah,
but I guess my thing is, like, if it's fluid, that's fine, but I don't know if this is the best space for somebody who's fluid, because you're trying to get with the heterosexual person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And just because someone is heterosexual, they can be open-minded. But it doesn't mean that they want their partner to be fluid. And I also think that when she goes into say, like, she was thinking about, like, what if, you know, my friends and family, or who is, like, you know, part of that community, and what if we have a child and they're not accepting? And I do think that those are questions that she should ask herself when it comes to a partner that she wants to be with. However, I don't think it's fair to put that on Devin, because he may not want to marry someone who is fluid, but he may be fine if a child or a friend is, but he doesn't want to have a relationship with somebody to where, like I said before, he doesn't know if he's fulfilling them in all their ways. Yeah. So, yeah.
And some and truth be told, a lot of people is closed off to that fluidness when it comes to the sexuality. We have I I read a couple comments from that episode from women's perspective, and they said I have to be honest. If the shoe was on the other foot and a guy said he had a few experiences with the same sex, I wouldn't want to marry him either. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? So not a lot of people is open to that world. That world is completely ignorant to even someone like me. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? And I'm someone who have gay friends, and I don't really know the in and outs of the dangers that they face, the mistreatment that like they face and things like that. Because in my eyes, I'm like, as long as I'm treating you well, mm-hmm. I'm thinking like the world should be treating you well. But I'm ignorant to that
plight,
to their life in that way, as mm-hmm. Blair would say, mm-hmm. because my sexuality is not really based on how, like, I get privileged for my sexuality. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? So it's very it's a weird space to be in for Devin, and I feel like the way that you was talking, you did not flush it out, because this may have been the first time you actually said it. And I'm like, I think you should always say this type of news that is very important to you to someone who is a trusted like person,
right?
Like mm-hmm. someone who's close to you. And I don't know if you don't want to be, I don't know if you don't want to prove your family right or wrong or whatever. But to me, to Christopher, it came off as if I did have a husband, you get what I'm saying? Like basically, I can just basically hide in plain sight. Mm. That's what it came off to me, right? Mm-hmm. But I think Devin is right to ask, like, so what's going on? See, it's one thing if you say, hey, I had these experiences and like it wasn't for me, but you basically say, hey, don't worry about it. Whoever I'm with, I'm monogamous.
Mm-hmm. But my thing is, like, that can very much well be the case, but that wouldn't work here. But you know what I'm saying?
But it wouldn't work for her either. Because if we going off of my theory that she's suppressing her true desires, you are monogamous until you realize that you really don't want to. Like, that doesn't mean that you're going to go out and cheat. I never thought that you was going to go out and cheat. But if you are suppressing your true desires, you can end the marriage because you be like, you know what, this is not really what I want.
Well, the thing is, that's why I think labels are important, because there's a thing called pansexuality, to where you are attracted to somebody regardless of the gender. So It doesn't necessarily mean like bi, because somebody could be trans and you're still attracted to them. So that includes everybody as far as pansexuality. Mm-hmm. And even that provides a little bit more clarity.
That's a label, at least,
in order for Devin to grasp where you stand. Mm-hmm. And I will say, I think she described pansexuality, but there was still some type of uncertainty in her voice. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but my thing is, the only thing that will eliminate, read that definition for me again.
Yeah. So it is a sexual orientation where people are romantically, emotionally, or sexually attracted to others regardless of gender.
It said others regardless of gender, but mm-hmm. that eliminates that the minute she said, I cannot see myself marrying a woman.
Well, no, because you can be attracted to a woman but not want to marry a woman. And I think that's where that comp het thing comes.
Yes.
As far as wanting to marry a man, you could be sexually attracted, but also this is a societal norm. So you'd prefer to have a marriage normally.
I understand.
This stuff is very involved.
No, but my thing is, if I was challenging her, I'd be like, okay, you could be sexually attracted to whoever you want as a pansexual, right? Mm-hmm. But my thing is, you made a hard line, a boundary of no matter who I'm sexually attracted to, I'm going to marry a man, right? On this show.
And I think it's fair to ask why.
And that is, mm-hmm. and to me, I'll be like, well, if you're just into people and to where you wouldn't have that line, I'd be like, okay, cool. But for you to say, I do not see myself on the show, obviously she's exploring in the article, but on the show, she said, I never see myself marrying a woman.
Right.
That does not tell me who you're sexually attracted to. That does not tell me who you're into.
Yeah.
So your line that boundary can't be that hard. And I'm supposed to believe that, like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, she could be a pansexual, but to me, it didn't. She could be that, mm-hmm. but to me, it didn't read that way. It read to me as if she knows what she is, and basically she is suppressing and hiding in plain sight to
mm-hmm.
me. And
yeah,
things like that.
And I think overall, like the article states, she probably has some more exploring to do.
Of course.
And I do think that, given her upbringing, she probably didn't have the chance to explore.
Of course.
So it might just take her a little bit more time to gather the words to be able to communicate to somebody where she stands.
100%. Mm-hmm. Anything else?
That's it.
Listen here, man. Brittany, prayers to you. You get listen, no one is mad at you. You know, only thing I would say is, hey, you didn't have to say what you said at the end. You didn't have to involve his mama in here.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like,
The jabs were. Devin didn't do nothing too.
You
crazy.
are above the jabs, okay? Devin did not do anything to you. Devin is not a representative of what you like. Basically, I'm gonna put all this burden on Devin, and if he accepts me, then like this is perfect. I think if it would have worked out in the way you seen it in your head, you still would have had to face your family.
Yeah.
Like it just is what it is because you said it on TV.
Yeah.
So hopefully whatever you're dealing with in real life, all prayers to you. And make sure y'all subscribe, like, share, comment, all the above. We see y'all next time.
Bye.